We request all the participants to please stay connected. Mr. CMD?
Just hold on, please.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Over to you.
Sorry, it got disconnected.
So you may proceed with your opening comments.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I wish you and your dear ones a great and safe 2021. We are meeting for the first time in this calendar year. I welcome you all to our CTC earning con call for the quarter and 9 months ended 31st December 2020. Yesterday, the company had announced the unaudited financial result for the third quarter and 9 months financial year 21, and same have been disclosed on both the stock exchanges. As you know, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted us across all the business segment, and hospitality was the worst affected, which weighed on year-to-year performance. However, quarter 3 has seen good improvement in revenue and profitability on quarter-to-quarter basis. All the segments apart from tourism have seen quarter-on-quarter improvement in profitability. Even the tourism segment would have seen an improvement but for partial operation of Tejas trains. I shall now hand over the con call to our Director of Finance and CFO, who will provide details of Q3 result post, which after which we will have a question answer session.
Thank you, CMD sir, and a warm welcome to one and all to our Q3 FY21 earnings con call. Let me first give the overview of the financial results, followed by a brief about performance of each segment. Q3 revenue came at rupees 224 crore, which implies a strong growth of 153% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Though on year-on-year basis, it is still lower by 69%, impacted by the pandemic, as sir had discussed earlier. EBITDA margin for the quarter touched a new high of 42.2% versus a loss of 6.3% in Q2 FY21 and EBITDA margin of 37.1% in Q3 FY20. This was driven by the quarter-on-quarter increase in profitability of the internet ticketing segment and lower loss in the catering segment. Tourism was the only segment we saw quarter-on-quarter increase in loss, but was largely offset by the decrease in losses in the packaged drinking water segment. Even the tourism segment would have seen improvement, but for partial operation of Tejas trains. Now, the net profit for the quarter stood at rupees 78 crore versus 33 crore quarter-on-quarter and 206 rupees year-on-year. Now, let me now move to the business segments of the company. The first one, the internet ticketing. The internet ticketing segment generally has the second largest contribution to company revenue. However, due to the impact of the pandemic, it has been the largest segment for Q3 FY21 and 9 months FY21. For quarter 3 FY21, revenue for the segment improved to rupees 153 crore versus rupees 58 crore in Q2 FY21 and rupees 227 crore in Q3 FY20. Income from service charge was about rupees 95 crore with 55 million tickets being booked through IRCTC. The EBITDA margin for the segment improved to 76.3% versus 58% in Q2 FY21 and 85.2% in Q3 FY20. Now coming to the catering segment, in Q3 FY21, the revenue for the segment was rupees 49 crore versus rupees 17 crore in Q2 FY21 and rupees 269 crore in Q3 FY20. The loss at EBITDA level declined to rupees 8 crore versus a loss of rupees 33 crore in Q2 FY21 and EBITDA profit of rupees 30 crore in Q3 FY20. This segment continued to see the impact of the pandemic and only ready-to-eat meals were in service on the trains, and pre-cooked meals were allowed for the static catering units only, that also for part of the quarter. On the positive side, the pre-cooked meals through e-catering have been allowed with the SOPs, so we may see this further improvement. Now the next segment is the Rail Neer. The Q3 FY21 saw a quarter-on-quarter pickup in revenue to rupees 17 crore versus rupees 9 crore in Q2 FY21, though still lower than rupees 59 crore in Q3 FY21. The current capacity is around 14 lakhs litre per day, which will increase to around 15 lakhs litres per day by end FY20. This will be achieved through addition of plants at Una and Bhusawal. Now, the higher capacity will enable IRCTC to be ready with supply volume as demand normalizes in the future. Now, next segment is tourism. Of course, the tourism segment has been impacted the most for the industry, which is the phenomena worldwide, and so for IRCTC. While the revenue improved quarter-on-quarter to rupees 15.5 crore from rupees 4 crore, it is lower than rupees 161 crore in Q3 FY20. Due to lower revenue and partial operation of the Tejas train, the loss at EBITDA level increased quarter-on-quarter to rupees 11.4 crore versus rupees 9.5 crore in Q2. For Q3 FY21, the capex was rupees 15 crore, and for 9 months FY21, it has been around rupees 80 crore. And the cash on the books as of end of Q3 FY21 was rupees 1,560 crore, 1,560 crore, with core cash of rupees 404 crore. With this, we can now move to the question and answer session.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Ashwini Agarwal from Ashmore Investment. Please go ahead.
So good morning to all of you, and hope all of you are safe too. Couple of questions. How do you see the tourism business evolving, in the current quarter and the next few quarters? I believe you're restarting some of your Tejas Express trains with effect from middle of February, if I'm not mistaken. Could you give us some outlook here?
Yes, I'll first mention about tourism. See, Tejas is slightly different from tourism because Tejas, you can say it as a primarily as a travel mode. Now coming to tourism, we have a wide range from mass tourism to customized tours. So our unique proposition is about this mass tourism by way of Bharat Darshan trains and pilgrimage special trains, whereby we carry almost 700-800 tourists on a sleeper class train to various places of touristic or religious importance, and we take care of everything. This is primarily senior citizens. In this segment, yes, we have made some inroads. In the month of December, we ran 2 Bharat Darshan trains, which ran to almost 90% occupancy. January, we have already done about 3 trains, and till end of the financial year, we plan to complete about 14 such tours. You see, each such tour carries about 700 to 800 passengers for a travel of 12, anything between 10 to 14 days. So, in this segment, we are receiving very good response. In fact, Lucknow, this last group train which started on 12th, it got filled up within 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, that means it implies that the fear of COVID is gradually going away, and these are the trains where social distancing and other things are also, difficult to, frankly speaking, follow.
Mm-hmm.
So people have started moving. So we are hoping that by March end, things should improve drastically.
Okay. And sir, any update on the Tejas trains, because you started and then you stopped again because demand wasn't there?
Tejas we started in last festive season, that is between Dussehra and Diwali. And you recall that was the time when COVID cases were also at peak. So we didn't get a viable occupancy on those trains. Right. After that, the cases have drastically come down. Now we have come down to a level of almost 16,000 cases per day.
Right.
And positivity rate also has gone down drastically. I mean, barring two states, that is Kerala, primarily Kerala, and to some extent Maharashtra. So, this is perhaps a good time to start, and we will start these things from 14th February.
And will you be starting all of them, or you will start
Two Tejas. I mean, we run two Tejas and one Mahakal.
Yeah.
Tejas are basically intercity trains. Mahakal is an overnight train. So we'll start with two Tejas and then decide about Mahakal also.
Okay. And sir, on the water business, I mean, you had a capacity constraint in the past, but there is a significant investment going on right now. You'll get to 15 lakh liters per day. But over the next 12 months, I think capacity is expected to increase, if I'm not mistaken, to 28 lakh liters or something like that. How will the
capacity by March end will go up to about 18 lakh bottles per day. You see what happens when any plant is set up. Normally during the first year it runs at about 50 to 60% capacity. And once it stabilizes, then second year it touches a level of around 75 to 80%. And third year onwards, it touches anything from 90 to 100%, or maybe even more in some cases. So, most of our plants were commissioned in last 3-4 years. So, plants which are every plant will give us enhanced input. In addition to 3 plants or 4 plants which are commissioned during 2021.
So, sir, how will the profitability change here? Will you see operating leverage play out? And I just wanted to compare, as you migrate your customers from bought out water to Neer in your trains, I'm assuming that you will sell Neer first, and if Neer is falling short, you will sell a Bisleri or Aquafina or whatever else. So how do the economics from a profitability perspective?
See, there's a major difference. See what happens when some stations and some trains are exclusive Rail Neer stations. As and when our production and capacity and logistics stabilizes, we request Railway Board to declare more and more stations as Rail Neer stations. So on those stations and those trains, nothing except Rail Neer is sold. It's only at the stations where Rail Neer is not available either because of production constraint or logistic constraint that Indian Railway, Zonal Railway Administration, it approves various brands which are sold at those stations. So gradually, as and when our reach goes up, we approach Railway Ministry to declare more and more stations as Rail Neer mandatory stations.
And how does the profitability on a per bottle basis differ between Neer and between bought out water?
Bought out water, we have no control over that. We have no accountant for that. We are responsible only for producing and distributing and selling Rail Neer.
Okay.
And profitability obviously depends on primarily on because cost of production, there will hardly be any variation. It's basically logistics cost.
So, but on bought out water, you don't make any margin?
No, we don't take any margin. Bought out water is purely handled by railways. We don't have any stake in that.
Okay. So there you don't have any play.
No.
Okay. Unlike the food which gets ordered, where you get a certain.
Yeah. That is a different.
Okay. So as you
Mr.
said,
Agarwal,
what are...
sorry to interrupt, sir.
Yes.
So this is the operator. For any follow-ups, I request you to rejoin the queue,
I'll come
please.
back. No problem. All the best, sir.
A reminder to the participants, please limit your questions to 2 per participant. Should you have any follow-up, request you to rejoin the queue, please. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Jinesh Joshi from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Sir, I have 2 questions. If I'm not mistaken, in the month of November, some 465 trains were operational. So what I want to know is that what is the current count as of now, and by when is the full capacity expected to ply?
So this is, your answer to your question is purely in domain of Indian Railways. November, what you mentioned, 465, I can say that there are a lot of festival special trains also running during that period. Right. Currently, we are running about 400 trains. Indian Railway is running 400 trains, for which we are booking the tickets. And this number keeps on changing. Like in a particular section, if a waiting list has gone beyond a number, then immediately another train is run after that.
Sure. And so this 400 trains, what proportion of total capacity do they represent?
It's about, it's a very wide question, because if these 400 trains are primarily Mail Express overnight, Mail Express trains and Shatabdi Rajdhani type train. Now, if you compare it only with Mail Express train, then it may be around 60% of the trains. But if you compare it with total number of trains, which includes passenger and other trains, then perhaps the ratio will be lower, which may be around 35 to 40%.
Sure, sir. And sir, in the opening remarks, we mentioned that the convenience fee income was 95 crores. Did I hear that right?
Yes, for the quarter.
Yeah. So if I look at our internet ticketing revenue, that figure was 143 crores. And if I reduce the convenience fee of 95 crores, we have some balance income of 48 crores, which has come from other non-convenience related charges. This appears to be slightly higher than what it was in the last 2 quarters. So has anything changed between now and then?
No significant change, but see, the one major thing, number of ticket has gone up. Number of ticket has gone up, so financial charge transaction has gone up. Now, this money comes primarily from the footfall on our website. Number of tickets going up, footfall on the site increases, advertisement potential goes up. Transaction volume goes up, we have some share in that, so that also goes up.
Okay, sir, got it. One last question. Sir, in the catering business, by when will the tariff hike start getting reflected in the numbers, and what kind of margin expansion can we expect because of this?
See, catering, currently we have instructions to serve only ready-to-eat meal, which is on MRP basis. So as and when this relaxation for supplying regular meal, which was done pre-COVID, then revised tariff will be effective from that period only. Because revised tariff was issued on October, November end, which was implemented for Mail Express train, but for Rajdhani Shatabdi, this was to be effective from 28th of March. So, the moment this relaxation of supply of pre-cooked meal is given, revised tariff will be applicable from that period only.
And the margin potential?
In potential, if we compare it with pre-COVID period, obviously the margin will be much higher compared to earlier.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Ankit Gupta from Alchemy Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Sir, can you tell me the number of tickets booked in this quarter as well as in 9 months?
See, currently we are booking almost 8 lakh tickets per day.
Okay.
Pre-COVID, we were booking about 9 to 9.5 lakh tickets per day. This quarter, we have booked 5.5 crore tickets. That is 55 million.
Okay. Okay. Now we are booking 8 lakhs per 100.
About 7.5 to 8 lakh tickets per day.
As you said, our number of trains are only 35 to 40% of the total trains. But
Mr. Gupta, sorry to interrupt, sir, but your voice is breaking up. May we request you to move to a better reception area, please?
Yeah. Now it's good?
Yes, sir.
Sir, yeah. So, as you said, our trains are only 35 to 40% of the total trains, but our tickets have already reached 80 to 90% of the pre-COVID level. So, why is there a discrepancy?
You see, all these mail express trains, they have they used to have three or four unreserved coaches.
Yeah.
Now those unreserved coaches have been converted into sitting reserved coaches. So each seat is allotted, each seat is reserved to a particular passenger.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
So those tickets are also booked by us now. Earlier it was part of unreserved ticketing system,
Yeah.
which was handled by railways. Now with the conversion of these seats to 2S class, this reserved booking is done by us. And when I mentioned about 8 lakh tickets per day, roughly 30% is from that segment.
Okay. And sir, do you expect that once this COVID is out, then these will again be converted to unreserved tickets?
I don't think so.
Okay.
For unreserved will largely be for passenger trains because these are long distance trains. I think it will continue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Sanjay Bembalkar from Canara Robeco. Please go ahead.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, first of all, thank you for your leadership and best wishes for the future. Just one area which I want to probe more is that when can we get more clarity on the future leadership for the company, sir?
No, it should be, the government has a procedure of appointing directors, so applications have been called up. The only thing, interview will be held, maybe another 3 to 4 months, things should be clearer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Sujit Jain from ASK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Mr. Mal, good wishes to you and best of luck for your future endeavors.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question on number of tickets, 5.5 crores, 95 crores convenience revenue, which means 17 rupees per ticket in this quarter.
Yeah, it's approximately 18. You see, we charge 20 rupees on sleeper and 40 on AC classes. However, for UPI and BHIM, we charge 10 and 20. So, our average realization pre-COVID was about 20 rupees, 20.5, which has recently gone down to around 18 point something, because the share of BHIM and UPI is going up. And as I told you, this segment of unreserved, this seating which was there unreserved earlier has been converted into reserved segment. And this is the class from which more and more BHIM and UPI bookings are coming.
And they will be non-AC?
They are non-AC.
Correct.
Sitting unreserved is non-AC.
Yes. So AC tickets as a percentage of the overall book in the quarter would be what, roughly?
AC, non-AC ratio is about 1/3, 2/3. But again, this 1/3, 2/3 was excluding this 2S category. So suppose 10 lakh tickets are sold per day. So out of that 3 lakh is this 2S. Out of balance 7 lakh, roughly 1/3 is AC and 2/3 is non-AC.
2S meaning the mail that you just explained, and you are
2S
saying,
is sitting reservation.
Got it. And you are saying 2/3, 1/3, so 35% would be AC of the remaining 7 lakh, correct?
Of the remaining 7 lakh, yes.
Okay. In Rail Neer, if you can quickly explain the business model, the bottle gets sold at 15 rupees a liter. For every bottle that gets sold in Rail Neer, how much you earn? How much comes to your P&L as revenue? How much you have to give to the bottler or to the manufacturer?
See, I mean, most of these plants, they are on the PPP mode, wherein we give them land and we give them the cost of, capital support also. So what happens, normally we buy this water at about 5 to 5.5 rupees. Then to this we add GST and logistic cost, and we transfer this bottle to seller at 10 rupees for distance within 50 kilometers and 10.50 for distance beyond that. And in this entire process, we have a margin of about 1.3 rupees per bottle. In addition to this, we get about 40 lakh as a license fee from each plant in lieu of land given to them. And in addition to this, sometimes you must have seen the level of labels on the water bottle having some advertisement. So that is extra source of revenue.
License fee is per annum and you will book it every quarter. So divided by 4.
Yeah.
Okay. And one quick question is that the oversize has happened. Government stake at 67.40. When will be the next calendar of OFS?
No, it's difficult for me to decide. It's basically Ministry of Finance and DIPAM.
When
they
will
decide and convey to us, and then we...
No, we understand that. What we are asking is, when is the next that they are allowed post this OFS? Because there will be a certain cooling off period in between.
I think 2 years is cooling off period, perhaps.
Acha. Okay. Sure, sir. I'll get back in the queue. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanjay Kumar from L&T. Please go ahead.
I wanted to know that when the long distance trains are going to be started. A lot of trains are still on hold.
See, it is for Indian Railways to decide, and they are studying the occupancy level at various routes and various trains. And trains are being started in phases wherever demand is there.
Yeah.
There are sections where, in addition to running all the regular trains, some clone trains are run because there is heavy demand.
Yeah, but
we have no control over, frankly speaking, starting or stopping a train except 3 of our trains. And Indian Railway is doing that exercise.
And when this Tejas is going to be resumed, Mumbai Ahmedabad Tejas?
And we'll start from 14th February again. Both Lucknow, Delhi and Mumbai Ahmedabad Tejas.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Ajay, Manoj Dubey.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prolin Nandu from GMO. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Mr. Mal. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple of questions from my side. So one is that this run rate that you have mentioned of 7.58 lakh, is this the current run rate of the booking per day?
It is current for January so far.
Okay. And sir, in terms of internet booking of the railway tickets, the overall market share was around 75%. 25% was still booked on the ticketing window before COVID. What is the number right now?
It's around 91-92%.
Okay. And once let's say this pandemic we are out of it, what is it that you think that this number will settle at?
See, we are hoping that this will sustain at this level because all of us know the comfort level in booking a ticket sitting at home rather than going to a booking office, standing in queue for an hour and doing all that exercise. So anyone who has once seen the convenience, I don't think they will go back to window again. So we hope that this ratio, this percentage, this market share will continue. But at the same time, we also know that a certain percentage will always be there on window because there is a basic difference in the nature of ticket bought from window and bought online. See, if there is somebody has bought a ticket from window and he is waitlisted and he boards the train, he is authorized passenger. He is not treated as ticketless traveler. Whereas with online ticket, I mean with this e-ticket that we give, if somebody is in waitlist and he travels on the train, he is treated as ticketless traveler and he is charged penalty accordingly. So, a small segment of passengers, those who have to travel by any means in any case, he will buy ticket from window and then even with waiting list, he will board the train because his main objective is to reach the destination.
Got it. And sir, last question is that we get so many hits per day on our portal. We have such a rich customer database. What are the plans apart from advertisement to monetize this data?
See, somebody, asked a question, I think before that, with a calculation that 95 crore is from ticketing revenue and non-ticketing, non-convenience fee was about 45 crores. So it is, we are doing all-out efforts. Out of that 45 crores, roughly 7-8 crores, maybe 10 crores will be from advertisement and rest is from this type of efforts which you are mentioning. And we are executing more and more projects for monetizing the footfall.
But sir, in terms of the potential of monetizing the footfall, where are we? Are we 20% there, 30% there? Just a rough number, just if you can put a number to it.
It is very difficult to define.
Sure.
Say, at least 100 of people, they have approached me that I am sitting on a gold mine. And somebody says its potential is 500 crores, somebody say 5,000 crores. But nobody comes with a concrete this thing, how to extract the gold from the mine. It's a unknown potential, frankly speaking. So whosoever comes with any concrete proposal, we allot him. Go and do it.
Understood, sir. Thanks a lot
there is
and all
not
the
more
best for your endeavor.
than 10 to 15%.
Okay.
If you have anything concrete proposal, you are most welcome.
Sure, sir. Thanks a lot for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Nihal Jam from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. So just one question from my side. I just wanted to know what would be the proportion of tickets that are booked via the UPI and the BHIM route, and the discount that we are offering, is that does that have a definite period after which it will get over, or it's going to be permanent in nature?
See, BHIM UPI booking earlier was in the range of 15%. Now it has reached about 20 to 23%. And there is no definite period, but we can always change it. And discount given is, as I mentioned in reply to one of the queries, that for AC class, normal it is 20, and for non-AC 20 and AC class is 40. For BHIM and UPI, it is 15 and 30. For BHIM and UPI, it is 10 and 20.
So do we have a plan of wanting to conclude this discount anytime soon, or that's a call we'll take later?
We'll take later.
Okay, sir. That's what is from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manish Poddar from Nippon India AIF. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Just had a few questions. So, one is, if you could probably talk about the CapEx, let's say for FY 22 and 23, in terms of, both the network capacity CapEx and the CapEx which you were intending for the hotels business.
We had planned for about 150 crores for all the projects. Now see what has, we have virtually deferred the CapEx by 1 year. Our, especially this CapEx on internet ticketing segment, we got all the licenses renewed by year and deferred it by 1 year. Hotel CapEx also, because there was delay in finalization of bids. I mean, so far we could finalize the tender only for Khajuraho. There are some issues with Kevadia Hotel. So, virtually you can say that entire CapEx is deferred by 1 year.
Okay, and would you be able to help me, let's say, with airline ticketing in quarter 3 versus quarter 2? How many tickets would you have booked, let's say, per day or for the quarter as a overall?
Our 5,000 tickets per day is the current volume, and quarter 3 it was around 3,500. Currently it is 5,000. Up to quarter 2 it was around 3,000. So there is a growing trend in that.
Okay, and just one last one is that, sorry for my ignorance, but have you launched the Miles program, or when is it expected to launch?
I think within this financial year it is expected to be launched. We are doing the technical integration for that.
Okay, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dharmesh Pant from Art Ventures. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Congratulations on a very good set of numbers in the given environment where there were too many challenges. So I have two questions. First one is on the conveyance fee. What's the outlook going forward? Is there a likely chance that this fee can be revised upward? And the second one is, like this quarter, the margins were exceptionally high. So when the things are normalized, assuming that FY20 kind of operation is back to where it was in FY22 or 23. So is this margin sustainable going forward? EBITDA margin.
See, your answer to your first question is currently we have no thinking about increasing the convenience fee, because our current margins and revenue is good enough to take care of company. Mm-hmm. Now your second, obviously it's a matter of calculation, simple calculation, that once the operation normalizes to pre-COVID level. Now in all segments you see, ticketing because of number of tickets going up, in catering because of increase of tariff, tourism also by increase of volume. So obviously it's a sheer calculation that will tell you that EBITDA margin will go up if operation normalizes to pre-COVID level.
Okay. So this EBITDA margin will go up from where it was reported in Q3 FY20. This quarter EBITDA margin is likely to go up forward on normalization of operations. That is what you are suggesting.
Q3 onwards it will improve quarter by quarter. Because there is a growing trend.
Okay, that's terrific. That's great, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Ashwini Agarwal from Ashmore Investment. Please go ahead.
Sir, in the past, what was the kind of full capacity number of tickets being sold on a per day pre-COVID compared to the 7.58 lakh number that we have now? What was that at the peak?
See, pre-COVID, peak, there may be exceptional days of peak when even 15-16 lakh tickets are sold. But pre-COVID, if you take a broad average, it was about 9 lakh tickets per day. Currently, even with around 40-45% of the trains running, we have reached a level of 8 lakh tickets per day. This is prime. This increase is contributed largely by conversion of unreserved seat into reserved seats in Mail Express trains. See, each Mail Express train runs with about 4 to 5 unreserved sitting coaches. So all the seats in these coaches have been converted into reserved seats with a new class of 2S, second sitting.
Yes, sir.
And this unreserved ticketing has now moved to reserved ticketing, and we are beneficiary. Now currently the figure which I mentioned about 8 lakh tickets per day, roughly 30% is contributed by this class 2S.
So there were two drivers for you. One is the shift from unreserved to reserved because this 2S class came in, and second is your 75-78% went to 91-92%.
Yeah.
And
in future, what is going to happen? More and more AC coaches will be put into service.
Right.
Instead of sleeper. So that will be another growth driver, because for every AC berth, your realization, your revenue is almost double.
And just to confirm, the charge for a sleeper is 20 rupees, for AC is 40 rupees per ticket, and for 2S
15 and 30.
15 and 30. And for 2S also you charge 15, or it's a lower number?
15.
15 only. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Sushmit Patodia from Motilal Oswal Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My first question is total user base now, and what are the number of active users?
Total database is about 6 crores. Active users is about 5 crores. Daily new registrations are about 25,000 users per day.
Okay. And so my second question is the no run period, the agreement, the discussion that you're having with Indian Railways. How much is the amount?
Yeah, this is for Tejas train you are mentioning. Lease charges for that.
The 1st April to 16th October.
So lease charges for that and fixed haulage, it will be around 14 crores for both the trains.
Only 14 crores.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last question is with respect to this interest rates coming down, is there any unfunded pension or gratuity?
No.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you. Urmil? Is Urmil listening?
Yes, sir. Mr. Urmil Shah?
Yes, sir.
Urmil, I have some other pressing engagement. So now Mr. Ajit Kumar, our Director Finance and CFO, will reply to all the queries. Please excuse me. And thank you, everybody.
Sure, sir. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The next question is from the line of Sujit Jain from ASK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
I just had a query. In the beginning, when we actually had this ticketing platform, who delivered that and what was the cost?
Ticketing platform.
Yeah.
We started right. In fact, this internet ticketing and the big way, it started in 2013, and from there only this journey of this convenience fee and the service charges was started. Of course, in the one time also this was as a digital promotion, these were taken away also. But of course, we were compensated. But then after that, the Ministry of Finance and as well as the Ministry of Railways have given this authority to decide this, fix up the convenience charges, so which we termed as a convenience charge. And then from the 2018-19, we are charging this around 15 and 30. And for UPI and BEAM, of course, the it is discounted around 10 and 20 rupees. Hello?
Seems like we lost the connection for the current participant. Okay. We move to the next question from the line of Tushar Bora from MK Ventures. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, sir. Just quickly checking, and I'm not sure whether this was covered earlier. I would like to understand, when the dedicated freight corridor comes in over the next couple of years, structurally, what are the positives that, we could see for the passenger trains and, in turn for IRCTC across our different lines of business?
Yeah, this the DFCCIL when it will start operation is already some stretches, some of the segments already started. But once from end to end it starts, then we will have the capacity and then those passengers, because there is always a gap between demand and supply. So the demand is more. So that means the more number of passenger trains will be running, and DFCCIL will also offer its track and all that, maybe, or whatever charges. So Indian Railway will run more passenger services, and the number of the quantum number, the leap will be there of the number of passengers, and most probably what we told that in the COVID time, around 90% of the booking is by the online ticketing. So this is the number of magnitude of passengers will increase. So the volume will increase, and then we intend to benefit from that because of the more number of bookings, so more the convenience fee by the internet ticketing.
It would be
as well as catering also, because catering another segment, the rail need also another segment. I mean, whatever the services which we will offer, apart from internet ticketing, then catering, then rail need. So all these things will be intend to benefit, so that will be beneficial to us in the long run.
Sir, it would be fair to assume that, with the dedicated freight line and a separate passenger line, the overall train speed should move up, and therefore, your travel times...
Yes, very, very correct. So now there's almost the route, there's saturation in the route. So once this is freed, this more, the capacity will be more, and the trains will be run at a higher speed. And of course, this more number of the end-to-end, so whatever the services, the trains will start running. So that is the projection, that is the prediction also.
And behaviorally, is it a good assumption to make that as your travel time shortens significantly, for shorter distances, the tendency would be to go for external catering a lot more in percentage terms?
It all depends, because one is if you see the geographical location of India, there are both end to end. This long distance trains, 1 night, 2 nights, and all that, and then of course the Shatabdi type of trains which are intercity. So both will be increased. The volume will increase. The number of passengers will increase. So, this is not that there will be a real shift immediately from the train to, this roadways. So, for example, from Delhi to Lucknow, we told you that, or let's say from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. Already these roads are in a very good condition. The people have their own cars and all that. But still, and the railway is also running the trains. And we are running in the private train, the Tejas train, that is from Lucknow to Delhi and Mumbai to Ahmedabad, and we are running on this is on profit. This is except for this COVID times, of course, then we had to stop due to the low occupancy. But in normally there is a good profit.
Sir, one last, if I may quickly squeeze in. I would like to understand your 2-3 year vision or outlook for what are the non-core services today, but which have more optionality, like having your own wallet or the payment gateway or insurance and things like that. If you could help us understand, is there any optionality, significant profit optionality in any of these that you're looking to tap over the next 3 years?
Yes, payment gateway, of course, we are very serious. We already have iPay, iMudra, we already have. We are in a current state, we have, there is a license, we have to take it from the RBI. The board has already passed, and we are applying for that. And then also we would like to, I mean, this one of the great, the mover here in the payment gateway segment, and we will try to have the more number of many of the state governments do not have this payment gateway, so that we want to cater to that. And of course, then we will keep on expanding as the demand. But yes, that will be one of the more non-core areas which will give the good profit margin in the years to come.
And how about the wallet service?
Wallet service also the same. We are I mean this serious on both. We already have the iMudra, we are trying to get into the market. And we already this if you see the percentage of the revenue, this is one from, of course, the core areas of internet ticketing and the non-convenience fee also. So we have the co-branded card and from the SBI. So we intend to get something from there, from ad, something from this wallet, something for the payment gateway, something for the co-branded card. So these are all the segments which will keep on adding up the revenue.
So the co-branded, the wallet rather, we intend to build this as a offering beyond railways as well. I mean,
of course. So that is the intention. So we want to, this is one of the features, because we have the database. Then if you see, we are the only one, who have the authority to book the tickets, online for the railways, and we have been given this license to, for the air ticket also. If you see this, we are progressive. We are the lowest service charges for the air tickets, and those passengers who want to have a flexibility of this railways as well as tie up with the journey through the airways. So we are the one who can provide a very good solution. And of course, the last end connectivity and all that we are trying to think of. So this will increase only.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. I'll join.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Priyank Chheda from Standard Chartered Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Just wanted to understand the update on railway privatization agenda and how IRCTC is going to participate or benefit.
You see, this Government of India for the first time has come out with the tenders for the running of the private trains. These are around 150 trains will be there, and train clusters are there. We are serious bidders because we are the only entity, apart from Indian Railways, who have the experience and expertise to run private train. We already run, of course, a timetable train, we have 2 Tejas trains and 1 overnight is Mahakal Express. We run. Apart from that, of course, the tourist trains and all that, this Maharaja Express and all that, we have experience of running. So we are very serious here. And then also out of 11 clusters, 10 clusters we have qualified on our own. One of the clusters we could not qualify because of networks and all that, because of stringent criteria. But out of 11, 10 we have qualified. Our expert team, the consultant expert team, in-house, they are on job. And Indian Railways have deferred this this bidding for the next 2 months. So we are very serious on this, and we will be a active participant and active player in this field. And the way in which we have seen the Tejas trains, because you see in India the passengers, the passengers, so the high-end passengers, they want to pay, but they want a good services. So in the Tejas trains, though our the fare is slightly 10-15% higher than the Indian Railways, and if you will be surprised to note that from Ahmedabad to Mumbai, 30 minutes before our Tejas and 30 minutes after our Tejas, the 2 trains of the Indian Railways are running, and we are established between them, and we are still running profit. From the day one. We had thought earlier that from next 1 year, after 1 year, 2 years, or something like we will break even. But whatever the slight publicity, slight marketing, but the day one we started the break even and profitable. This was a profitable segment, and then day by day the occupancy increased, and we also started taking the feedback from the passengers, and we try to take it to level, and I will be surprised to know the level of services, level of food, and level of catering, and level of whatever the cleanliness, hygiene, and all that. It is better than the airlines. This is the comments of those passengers. So therefore, there is there definitely a big amount of these passengers who want to pay slightly higher but want a premium services, and we are ready to cater to that.
So, thanks for that detailed answer. So, sir, just to add on this discussion, do we plan to add more Tejas trains? Tejas trains will be our focus, or participating in the privatization agenda solely, or with JV would be our focus?
I meant to say that Tejas train, this has to be decided by the Ministry of Railways. We have asked for it, but we don't know the response to the Ministry of Railways. Maybe that if the private trains are running in operation, they may not give the license for more Tejas trains. That is up to them. But we are open for both, because there is a real demand and supply gap, and between the fifth sectors, there's so much of the waiting list and all that. So we are ready for both. We are geared for both. We are already in the talk of this regarding this private train, how this lease financing and the rakes and all that we will take. Private trains also, on Tejas trains we are open. We are open for both. Whatever is a company, whatever profitable, we will take it. And according to us, both are profitable ventures.
All right. Sure. Thanks, sir. And just the last question, sir, on the catering segment.
Yes. So sorry to interrupt, but for any follow-up, request to rejoin the queue, please. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Agam Shah, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Most of my questions are answered. Just follow-up on I wanted to comment again. So the sir commented that for the AC thing and for AC compartment, opportunity might open up. So can you just elaborate on that? I missed your point on that.
Please repeat your question slightly. Please be clear what exactly you want to update.
For the AC compartment.
Yeah.
I think what are the opportunities? There's something you had said about that. So just I had missed the point there. So can you just repeat?
AC compartment, I don't think that we have come. Right. Okay, right. Just a minute. What you see, as of now, the internet booking, the convenience fee, it is rupees 15 for the non-AC sector and 30 rupees for AC. Now suppose that this number, as the trend is like this, that more number of AC trains will be there, more number of coaches will be there. So certainly the revenue that is the convenience fees will increase from 15 to 30 rupees. So in the percentage term also and magnitude also. So we stand to gain by the more number of AC coaches. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. Participants, to ask a question may press star and 1. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Urmil from IDBI Capital for closing comments.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you everyone for logging in for the call, and have a good day ahead. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. Ladies and